Today on Unity Motorsports Garage, we're going to take a look back at the small block Chevrolet, how it went from the drawing board to the assembly line to becoming one of Hot Rodders' top engines of choice. This wasn't by accident. We're going to talk about the things that make this engine great. In the early 1940s and 50s, people flocked to the flathead Ford as the hot rod engine of choice. Ford went on to develop the Y-block V8, but the performance potential wasn't there. It was heavy and it didn't make power. Ed Cole, coming over to Chevrolet, he decided he wanted to build an engine that was compact, light, and powerful. Enter the 1955 Chevy. This engine was a game changer. Ed Cole was very performance minded, so he set out to get with Smokey Yunick to develop an engine that would run in NASCAR. He entered this thing for a one-race deal in the 1955 Darlington 500. The rest is history.
The Thomas crew is jubilant. Smokey Yunick sees the end in sight. Here comes Thomas. The white flag. One more lap. Man, won't they ever come around. There they are. Thomas and Reed running 1-2 at the finish. The checkered flag. Herb Thomas wins his third Southern 500. Hours and 25 minutes of sweat and worry for mechanic Smokey Yunick have finally ended. Thomas rolls to the winner's circle. His speed, matching lucky number 92 on his car, is 92.281 miles an hour, despite heavy traffic and numerous laps run under a caution flag.
Within just a few years, the small block Chevy had grown from 265 inches to 283 to 327. This made it very popular with hot rodders as it could produce 1 horsepower per cubic inch without any problems. It didn't take Ford very long to realize their mistake with the Y-block, and in 1962 they came out with the small block Ford, but the damage was done because manufacturers had already been manufacturing high-performance speed parts for the small block Chevy. This gave the Chevy a huge advantage because there were millions of them on the road when the small block Ford just cut its teeth. Drag racers soon realized the appeal of the small block Chevy as it was cheap and easy to work on. Drag racers took advantage of this and turned it into a drag racing success, as you will see here in the early 1960s.
Self-start, drive them on the street type of cars are ready to go.
The modified cars using full street equipment, headlights and horns, that type of equipment. And now we move into the semifinals. Richard Moroso and Ronnie Hassel. Hassel driving the Anglia Coupe. The modified Corvette had the advantage of the handicap. It'll be close. And the Anglia Coupe could not catch him as Moroso and the Corvette won one semifinal round of the Street Eliminator. And now here is Joe Lunati from Memphis, Tennessee, driving a hybrid sports car. He's required to make the run solo just to keep the wear and tear equal on the vehicles. So in the finals in the Street Eliminator, it'll be Joe Lunati of Memphis, Tennessee. And the pressure mounts.
Roger Penske and Mark Donohue would have huge success with the small block Chevy with the DZ302 program, winning the 1968-1969 Trans Am Series. This was going to lay the groundwork for the small block Chevy for NASCAR use in the future. By the early 1970s, the small block Chevy was the dominant force in hot rods and street rods alike. This was due to the fact of the amount of engines that was in wrecking yards, and also the fact that there was a speed shop on every corner. And during this time frame, companies kept coming up with new products every day of the week. Edelbrock was on their game, Offenhauser, Inski, Crane Cams, you name it, it was there. And what most people don't realize is that the first aftermarket cylinder head was released in 1972 by Airflow Research, as you can see in this photo, an aluminum cylinder head in 1972. Also in that year, Pro Stock allowed small cubic inch engines to come in lightweight chassis. None other than Bill Grumpy Jenkins took advantage of this, and he brought his 1972 Vega Chevy to the track with a small block, destroying all oncomers. As you will see in this next video clip, he was a force to be reckoned with.
Is Don Grother against Grumpy Jenkins and his Chevy Vega. Grumpy Jenkins is the winner of Pro Stock.
In Pro Stock, Bill Grumpy Jenkins is one of the most respected contenders on the drag circuit. From Malvern, Pennsylvania, he brought his Chevy to town ready to run whatever challenged him.
Grumpy's Soy will be one of the favorites in Pro Stock today, and you've been spending some of the time this morning, I guess, making final adjustments and tuning up. How's it looking?
Well, it still looks like we're in pretty good shape. We can't find where there's anything wrong with the car, and looked the track over. I have not made a pass this morning, but it doesn't look like it's going to be radically different than it was yesterday, so I'm probably pretty well set up for the track.
What's the fastest time for this car?
Fastest time anywhere?
Yeah.
Well, on sea-level tracks, it's run 9:25, 9:28 in that range, ET, and 149 miles an hour.
What do you figure it would take to win up here in this altitude?
About 980 in that range. Now, I run a 980 here, and I feel so I can probably run in the neighborhood of 972, 975 if I have to. And if I don't break anything, that should win.
After wading through the preliminary foes, it was Jenkins and Ken Dondero from Northridge, California, in Don Nicholson's Pinto. Jenkins took it in the style that he's making a habit. The Grump blasted out a 9.77 to Dondero's 9.93.
With the success that Bill Jenkins had in Pro Stock, it led to one of the first performance books for the small block Chevy, as you can see. But as time went on, so was a new kid on the block by the name of Lee Shepherd, the team of Reher-Morrison. They became the Chevy forefront leaders during this time frame. Even though they normally played second fiddle to Bob Glidden, it always came down to them two, and as you're going to see in this next clip, Bob didn't always win. During this time frame, you could not go to a magazine stand and find a hot rod magazine that didn't have articles about the small block Chevy. Also, this became the time period in which books became available to put top knowledge information in the average guy's hands. As you can see, most of these books were written by my good buddy David Vizard. This changed the game because the average person had top level experience being given to them. Now we're going to head next into NASCAR and how the small block Chevy changed NASCAR forever. By 1975, NASCAR had mandated that they go to small block engines. This gave the small block engine its first breath of new life in NASCAR in 20 years, as you're going to see Cale Yarborough taking the win for Junior Johnson Chevy coming up.
Comes, and the checkered flag snaps down on Cale Yarborough, winner of the 10th annual Carolina 500. David Pearson finished the race with the second place money. Richard Petty wound up third, Dick Brooks fourth, and Richard Childress fifth.
From the 1970s into the 1980s and 1990s, Chevrolet won the Manufacturers' Championship more than any other brand, and that's a true testament. But the black number 3 of Dale Earnhardt cemented the small block Chevy in history forever. When you think about the things that make the small block Chevy great, the fact that over 100 million of these engines have been produced, and the fact that it went from 262 cubic inches all the way up to 400 cubic inches in the same architecture, that is pretty impressive for anybody's book. But the thing that sticks out to me is the men behind the engines. They pushed the engine development to the next level for the next guy in the next generation, and that's what it takes. And this video is dedicated to my good friend David Vizard. And this is Andy from Unity Motorsports. I'll catch you later.